Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Tuesday, February 24th. I actually can't remember the last time that we had Pat and we had Ed and we have Billy Ray. But that's what we have today. And I'll tell you what, the last time these three were on here, we definitely all weren't this close to being betrothed. That's correct. Pat and BRM are engaged, but not to one another. I have gotten asked that a couple times. The joke is not funny. Now it actually kind of is, but
This joke's pretty funny.
pretty unbelievable. Man, what a time. We got an action-packed off-season podcast in the manner that we usually do it. Look, not a ton going on, but there is also still a ton going on. We got Penn State fans freaking out about James Franklin. We got basketball games being taken in by me and Ed. We got winter wonderland up in the Northeast. There's a lot going on. But first and foremost, we are the Sons of Saturday. Pat Finn, how are you doing, my friend?
I am delightful. We're digging out here in New York.
Did you sign up for the pay for shovel thing that your leader signed up for? Show your ID, you get paid to shovel snow, dude. That's pretty big time.
No comment on the on the status of the snow removal here in Manhattan. It was a more of a wet snow. I think the streets are a lot more. I guess the first snow was very cold, and it just stayed cold that entire time. Actually, Bryce and I were talking about it. You know, Bryce had like a full analysis on the snow situation in New York. This snow removal will probably be pretty easy. The snow was wet from beginning to end. Like it took a while to stick. And hopefully it's gone soon. I mean, we are 7 days away from turning the calendar to March. Less than that. Goodness, there's only 28 days in September or in February. Good Lord.
Oh man, Edward, how are you doing, brother?
I think better than Pat. I don't know what's going on over there. Yeah, we had a great time in Blacksburg though. So coming off of that and getting back into the swing of things, it's been good.
So, I guess we'll roll into to announcements here. We'll start on the respect and somber side, Pat. We did get some unfortunate news out of the Virginia Tech realm these last couple of days.
I was gonna say, Wes Worsham passed away last week at the age of 93. You all have been to dozens upon dozens of events and games at Worsham Field, the namesake of Lane Stadium's playing surface. Wes Worsham, talk about a legend. Wore those VT khakis, a Hokie blazer, every single game, was known for that attire, had a Virginia Tech tie, and I mean the khaki pants embroidered with the Hokie birds is just next level. It would be really cool if there was some tribute where we could purchase some form of these pants, because they were
I've
awesome.
been looking for them. I have been looking for them. Just saying.
Worsham Field, Wes Worsham had a great relationship with both Bill Dooley and Coach Beamer, esteemed benefactor to Virginia Tech, and we will miss Wes Worsham, native of the northern neck of Virginia, and Mr. Worsham spent his years in his career in fire protection and the sprinkler industry, which ultimately, led him fortuitously to make several contributions to Virginia Tech football. So we are appreciative of Wes Worsham, and his legacy will be carried on forever at Worsham Field. I think I hate to have to say next here, but we also want to pay an ode and tribute to Roniel Whitaker. Roniel Whitaker wore number 2 for Virginia Tech. He was a esteemed member of the secondary, one of the DBU OGs from the 90s, from that national championship roster as well. He passed away over the last few days I think I saw the news initially from, it might have been Dwight Vick. Coach Foster had a very nice tribute to Ron Yell. And as you guys know, Ron Yell did have a bit of a career in the NFL as well. So anytime one of our fallen Hokie brothers or sisters, makes news that they have passed, it's always a bummer. But we are thinking about the families of the Worshams and the Whitakers here, and we appreciate all their services to Hokie Nation over the years.
All right, a couple of other announcements. First and foremost, USA wins Olympic gold in hockey. Ed, you probably are the resident hockey person between the three of us. I don't know a lot about hockey, but every time I watch a hockey game like that, I'm like, I need to start watching hockey. So, real quick, Ed, any thoughts?
I mean, it couldn't have been more of an enjoyable watch. Like, you experienced every emotion that a sporting event can make you experience with that one. I think the only time you watch hockey is probably when it is the United States versus Canada. I do know Pat was very tuned in on the Olympics, though. So, but yeah, it was a great game, and U.S. won for the first time in a bajillion years, and then they partied like only Americans can the entire way home, and I don't think those guys are going to stop until they get on the ice when the NHL resumes tomorrow. So pretty quick turnaround for them, but coming home with the gold, both men's and women's hockey over Canada, pretty big deal, especially for Canadians up north. They're not feeling so good about that situation, but for Americans, it's been a long time coming. Really cool to see.
Thankfully, we don't have that many Canadian Hokies. I'm just kidding.
Sammy Hill literally got a shout out this weekend.
That's a joke.
I do want to also point out the cry counter for me, two times crying watching the hockey game. So that was for all of you wondering at home how many times BRM cried watching the Olympics. It was twice.
How do you know Billy Ray cried during anything? He'll tell you.
He'll take a picture and send it to you. Yeah, Johnny Gaudreau, having Johnny Gaudreau's kids out on the ice was tough. Like, I don't know how anybody could have watched that and not cried. That was pretty emotional and really cool tribute. So yeah, but yes, you did send us a selfie of the tears. It was real.
I mean, you can't not, right? Couple of more things. Quick updates here. Spring game, more to come on that. We're working on a couple of different things. If you're a Section 5 club member and you ordered the James Franklin t-shirts, thank you so much for your patience. Nobody was complaining. I may have been like, yo, where's my shirt? Hey, it's on the way. They are now shipping. They have been produced and they are now being shipped. Thank you again for being a member of the Section 5 Club. And Pat, you have some exciting updates about Maryland and Cal.
Maryland, Cal, potentially some other games as well. I'm going to ask you guys who are on our newsletter, we're going to put this on socials. We're going to solicit, hey, are you guys coming to the Maryland game? You guys coming to the Cal game? You looking for hotels for Boston College, Miami? We are looking to get some preferred hotel rates with a specific hotel vendor for some of those major cities that Virginia Tech is deciding to occupy this year. I mean, I don't know if we are planning on playing in the Pinstripe Bowl so we can go to New York. I don't know if we're planning on, going to LA, and playing at USC. Like, it is just so weird that Virginia Tech is playing 5 football games this fall in US major cities. But we will ask you to fill out the survey, fill out the Google form, just trying to get an idea of volume. How many folks are going to be joining us in Maryland for discounted tickets and hotels? How many folks are going to be hopping out to California, up north, down south, and all over the United States? So be on the lookout for that. I know I promised that 2 weeks ago when we did this last pod together, but that should be out here the next couple days. Thank you all for your patience, and looking forward to seeing you guys on the road. Ed, are you going to any away games? I know we've kind of covered a few weeks ago where we're headed this fall, but I know you're definitely making that Maryland game.
Yeah, I'll definitely be at Maryland, and then maybe the SMU game as well if it all shakes out according to plan. But definitely Maryland, that'll be really fun, and excited to see the feedback you get on the Google form for the kind of volume that we're going to have of Virginia Tech fans up there. I think it'll be it'll be pretty strong. Hopefully people will travel into town for it, but obviously there's a lot of people already in the area, and I think Virginia Tech fans will take over that stadium.
Billy confirmed cried when he found out he had a wedding on the Cal game.
Good call out. Ed, it's time that we talk a little bit about our date. We had just such an unbelievable time.
Wait, are we just gonna skip over this February 26th thing?
Oh, I didn't know if you had. I didn't know if you had anything. What do you got? February 26th.
I'm sorry you jumped out to change your camera. So didn't think we were getting cut in line here. Didn't know I needed the fast pass to get back in here. February 26th. When I think February 26th, Virginia Tech beating Duke in basketball at Castle is what I think when I think of February 26th. We've been trying to do these off-season pods with a little bit of Hokie history tied to it. You guys might be listening to this on February 26 here. But the OG February 26th Duke victory was when Duke came in #1 with Seth Curry and that team, and Tech, a bubble team at this point, went ahead and beat Duke. College Game Day was there. Also, the only time College Game Day has been at Virginia Tech men's basketball. Because we remember Carolina.
Ooh, I was going to jump in, dude. Good, well played.
And then that was awesome. Who's Your Daddy? Enter Sandman. And then, of course, Dickie V going crazy about Seth Greenberg's team deserving a spot in the field, which didn't happen, but some of us have gotten over it. Some of us haven't. Fast forward 7 years, Tech beats Duke again at home, 64-63 in Blacksburg. And then in 2019, on February 26th, again, Tech defeats the #3 Duke Blue Devils. Just Buzz Williams had Duke's number. That was one of those games with the Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Was it a pass? Was it a shot? Doesn't matter. Chris Clark was there on cleanup duty and put it home. So I think it's fair for us to acknowledge the everlasting triumphs that Virginia Tech has over Duke on February 26th.
It is pretty crazy. I was going to say, it is pretty crazy to look back at kind of Virginia. Who made this comparison, Ed? Virginia Tech is basically what Boston College has been for us in basketball. Like Duke has just perennially had a problem with Virginia Tech playing at Castle Coliseum over and over and over again. I'll tell you who hasn't had a problem with Virginia Tech, and that's North Carolina at home against Virginia Tech, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to the Hoops Corner here. But as far as the weekend was concerned, just an unbelievable date weekend with Ed. I got to tell you, we left the ladies at home and we sent it down to Blacksburg. This trip was planned before the Florida State loss. This trip was, I think, finalized right after that Clemson win. And we were like, oh, we're going to the tournament. And then we lose to Florida State. And it's, oh, we're not going to the tournament, but I'll still go to the game. Then you win this game by 20 and you're squarely back in the bubble. So, again, we're doing that overreact thing. But, Ed, I just want to give you the floor for a second to talk about how great weekend basketball trips are when it pertains to Virginia Tech.
It's so elite. That's 2 now this year for us, once with a much larger group and Pat Finn, and then this one just you and I and the Boytnots. But the basketball games in Blacksburg and basketball weekends are so elite. You can get into every restaurant. You can get into every bar. You don't have to worry as much about housing. There's no traffic. It's so lovely, and you get to experience everything we all love about Virginia Tech and Blacksburg specifically without the absolute mob scene that is a football game weekend. And you still get to go watch the Hokies in an awesome venue in Castle Coliseum. So yeah, basketball weekends, I'm always a proponent of those.
So the weekend, it was 24 hours for me. I think it was like 26 for you total. Came in on Friday, left on Saturday after the game. So Sharkies for semifinal hockey. I don't know if you all do this when you go to Blacksburg with friends. It's like for the last hour, Ed was like, dude, sitting by myself in Sharkies, like Steven Glansberg, where are you? And I was like, dude, I'm 15 minutes closer than I was 15 minutes ago. So I pull up and, we grab some wings, I didn't know Sharky's had the big mugs. I've never had a big mug from Sharky's, but they had a big, big mug. I enjoyed some of that. Headed over to wrestling, which wasn't originally in the plan. Shout out to Adam and Dawn Boitnott. That was awesome. I've never sat that close to a college wrestling match. And then finished the night up with some bourbon on the couch. Next morning, Bloody Marys and coffee, Hokie hoops, PKs, and then hitting the road. I mean, it was a business trip, and business was done. Real quick, in terms of shout-outs, obviously Adam and Dawn Boitnott, Cranwell family for hooking it up with those basketball tickets. That was great. Had a blast. We have a new hashtag that was birthed on this weekend. It's called GFH, Great Freaking Hokie. It's going to be a new award that we hand out, but Cliv, Boitnott's, Cranwell's, y'all are getting GFH awards. Ran into Evan Massengill, Ethan Aguigui, met Ty Howell. Pat, this is big news. So we were going to meet Ty Howell, and I was like, does anyone know how to pronounce his name? Is it Howley? Is it Howell? Is it Hal? Like, what is going on here? And nobody knew. So I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna ask, because there's like this myth going around. Nobody knows how to say it. So it's Hal, like Hal. So that's how he pronounced his name. You're welcome. Everybody was wondering. Somebody had to have the cojones to ask. I did ask. It's Hal. Ty Hal. So there's that. Met Bo Bassett, Jimmy Mullen, my academic advisor, Rindy Roosh, now Rindy Mitchell, which I loved. O'Neal. Dude, I mean, Ed, how much, if you had to put a percentage on it, how much of a percentage does sitting in the vicinity of O'Neal Hagan increase the enjoyability of any sporting event?
It's pretty high, and he's got some new content he's working on. It wasn't stage ready yet, but he's getting there. He'll be ready for the fall.
Dude, there were a couple of possessions where Wake Forest walked. He said, he took a bus! So that was pretty good stuff. Loved that. Jay Tucker, Bish, I'm sorry I missed you, but man, what an awesome weekend. Pat, what are your thoughts on basketball weekends in the Berg? I mean, they're pretty tough to beat. And the thing that's great about it, I think, is when you go to a football game, you're trying to see everybody, right? And there's the lot hopping, and you don't get to see maybe everybody that you want to and whatnot. But with basketball, it's like, hey, man, like, we're going to tailgate for like an hour and a half. And by tailgate, I mean grab a bite and grab a beer. This is where I'll be. We'll all be in the basketball game, and then we're going to leave after. There's no like dog and pony show. It's pretty straightforward what we're here to do, and then we're hitting the road, which, in my opinion, I love.
Really good. Really good if you have that access on a day trip, too.
Mm-hmm.
Down and back.
Mm-hmm.
One night and out. Went to the New Year's Eve Virginia 4 overtime game and went to the Notre Dame game. And it's also like, if you go, like, if the team's halfway decent, like if Virginia Tech basketball is halfway decent and you're playing at home, there's also just like a very solid chance that Tech's going to win. And that's just how it's been at Castle, I feel like, in games that I've attended the last 10 years, honestly. Albeit, the last couple of years of men's basketball have not been the best. But if you kind of pick and choose, you can slot in a nice Saturday, walk out of Castle with a dub, and have a great time, trying the veal in Blacksburg. You actually can get seated at the cellar.
To your point, Pat, I just did a quick re-rack of my brain here. Virginia Tech doesn't get embarrassed by really good teams at home. The only time I can really think of it happening was Louisville last year, and they actually played pretty well against Louisville last year when the team was not good. And then Duke,
Florida State guys just happened.
But Florida, I'm talking about you're going to watch us play a premier team. When you're at home against a premier team, Virginia Tech plays well. Florida
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And if you go back, like Pat just said, like, it hasn't been great the past couple of years, but even with that, in 22, we won 19 games. In 23, we won 19 games. And this year, we're probably going to win 19 games. So either way, your odds are you're going to see a good performance from Virginia Tech and Castle.
I actually want to, before we do merry-go-round merriment, I want to publicly apologize to Pat. So I gave Pat a hard time after one of our podcasts for the Owala water bottle. And he has one. I have the exact same one. And I had never used it before. Pat had used the word economical, and I think I was just in like black Air Force Ones mode, and I just was like, I'm gonna crush the Owala water bottle for no good reason. And I called it like the most anti-grit drinking receptacle. You don't need a straw, and you don't need a pour function. Now I'm gonna stand by that. It's not like I don't look at the Owala and say, "Wow, like that is the lunch pail version of the water bottle." But
Hint,
it.
question.
Let me get to the crescendo of my apology. But I do want to say, I use it now every single day. The option of glug versus sip, I'm sure that'll get clipped. The glug versus sip like optioning is very nice. I'm in. I was wrong. I was blind. Now I see.
Congratulations. Welcome to the team. All it took was a test drive for you to want your own set of keys. And who looks at a water bottle and says, "Oh, that one's grittier than the other one"? It's a water bottle, my guy. Who cares? Jeez.
So I'll eat crow on that one. Pat,
Yum,
kick
yum.
us off with the wrestling.
I gotta tell you, Bill Roth put together like an extremely timely, like, hey, here's what's going on at Virginia Tech in the winter sports cycle. Here are the updates. So I pulled some of those notes here and wanted to. I mean, you guys were there, so I'm sure there's some firsthand accounts that you all have. But big time, Virginia Tech wrestling, ranked number 6 in the country, which is just remarkable to even think about Tech being ranked as high as we are right now. I know this is like, you got Caleb Henson taking a red shirt this year, and you still have a top 10, top 6 program. Go out there, crush Duke 26-17, win another ACC regular season title. Coach Roby picks up his 9th conference title since arriving here in Blacksburg. It's so easy to get on here and just sing that guy's praises, and that entire staff, everybody involved with the wrestling program, folks who are involved with the SERTC, anyone who is coaching at that facility. It has really made Virginia Tech such an elite institution for competitive wrestling here in the ACC. And it's just exciting. And Tech will host ACCs starting, I believe, March 8th. Has not hosted the ACC Championships at Castle Coliseum since 2019. So it'll be a nice opportunity to show off Virginia Tech to the ACC wrestling community. But
a couple of things on that. First of all, here were the things that stood out to me. First of all, crumble cookies were on the table. I housed it. Like, I went into it like I haven't had a carb in 2 weeks. Like, no, crumble cookie got eaten. I'll tell you what, DP dough got eaten that night later on as well. So those are 2 things that happened. I thought the crumble cookie was a really nice touch. Virginia Tech had 2 DQs. One was expected, one was not. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be a wrestling genius here. I did watch the Jaden Bullock was the one match that really stands out to me. I think Ed and I were just like amazed that was allowed to happen in front of us. It was actually like what he was doing to this man whose last name was like Hussey, which I also thought was kind of weird. But he just absolutely abused this human being on the mat. No Jimmy Mullen. Jimmy Mullen did not have to wrestle because it would have affected his seeding, so he sat that one out. They wrestled a freshman. Look, I got to tell you, it is amazing how great the program has gotten. I've gotten multiple texts from people, obviously growing up in New Jersey, who really care about wrestling and really watch it, and their sentiment has continuously been, you guys, like, the growth of your program is incredible. You guys are good this year, but you're positioned to legitimately make a run for a top 3 or national championship next year. That's not me saying it. That's not a Virginia Tech fan saying it. That's people who watch wrestling on a national scale who are saying, you guys kind of didn't wave the white flag, but you're definitely building towards next year. Like, next year is the year. And that's something that's being recognized nationally. So they do an amazing job. And also, to your point, I think so many of the, I don't want to be negative here, but so many of the things that frustrate us with like just organization, fundraising, and other things, I think the wrestling program has shielded itself from that by just the nature of them operating as almost their own entity. Like, Ed, I would almost compare wrestling setup to what Buzz Williams' basketball program looked like, except Tony Roby is not like Buzz Williams at all. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, they're definitely kind of sheltered. Like I think that was a good word. With the SCRTC and how they operate, they can just kind of afford to run their own show and not have to worry about some of the other issues, I guess, that other programs run into or that people talk about and hear about all the time. The term that they used on their Instagram caption when they posted the ACC trophy was something along the lines of people said this was a punt year, and that was the actual caption that the wrestling program used, which I thought was funny. And more or less all the stuff you just talked about, it kind of was, and it still didn't matter. And in the Duke match in particular, we wrestled a bunch of backups and kind of handled them pretty easily. Like you said, Jimmy Mullen didn't wrestle because he didn't have to, because Jaden Bullock won by so much that the team score put that match out of reach, and they could afford to sit Mullen. I was bummed we didn't get to see Seidel wrestle in person. I was looking forward to that, but Duke's guy had to scratch, and then I think the backup for Duke couldn't make weight or something like that. So I was bummed we didn't get to watch him, but it's pretty incredible. And one of you mentioned Caleb Henson. Like at one point, I looked over and he's sitting on the bench, I think eating popcorn, underneath his banner that says Caleb Henson National Champ. I'm like, we have a guy with a banner, red shirt, and eating popcorn in the middle of this match right now. That's insane. So yeah, the way they've positioned the program for the future is really, really exciting as a Virginia Tech fan. Plus, then we ran into Bo Bassett himself, which was awesome.
I also want to. I got to tell. So there's no way to say this without sounding silly. I'm also a large human, dude. 126-pound human beings that are jacked like that look like aliens. Like the way you look at Victor Wembanyama and you're like, that guy's an alien. Bo Bassett is literally like a Popeye G.I. Joe figurine. Like he comes up to like my belt line and would crush me. Like some of these guys just, it is wild. And I'll tell you what else really impresses me about Bo Bassett is media trained is the wrong word, because that almost comes off as like not a real person. For his age, he is very impressive with how he carries himself. Obviously his mindset, obviously his training regimen. I just love the quality of person that has always been associated with the wrestling program. And I've said that since I've been in college. Like they've always been super impressive, not getting in trouble. Great to talk to. I had a chance to meet with Jimmy Mullen very, very briefly after the wrestling match. And everybody around that program does such a tremendous job. They also put it together an event after the wrestling match. So all of the wrestlers, all of the recruits, they all went up into the SPAC or SAPC. Me and Coach Franklin don't know what the abbreviation is, but basically had everybody in there for like a meet and greet. There's food up there, and just basically, again, running an awesome program and giving back to everybody who's poured into the program. So I love that program. Want to see them continue to do well. Encourage you to get out to a match if you have an opportunity to do so. And we may have an interview with wrestling coming up here in the next couple of days.
Bo Bassett, 143.
Yeah. What was the smallest group, Ed? There was like a 126 or 128, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. No, but I am glad you said that about Bo, because I was super impressed with the way he carried himself at that. What was it? What'd you call it? No, mingle happy hour or whatever it was. Yeah. It was just super impressive, because everyone wants to say hi. Everyone wants to shake his hand and tell him how excited they are that he's a Hokie. And he took the time to talk to everyone and anyone and everyone. And it was very impressive. I'm glad that guy's going to be mirrored in orange.
I'll say this too, like, and this isn't like a me only thing or a you only thing. He interacted with people. We've met over a Zoom once, and he Billy Ray, how are you? Good to see you. And then other people, Mike, whoever, good to see you. Like he's almost like a politician again is the wrong word because it doesn't come off as fake. But again,
He's just a stud. The guy's a stud.
Just an awesome dude. Hokie Hoops Corner. What do you got?
He gets it. Yes.
He gets it.
He does. He does get it. Hokie Hoops Corner. I don't think we really have a direction on this. I think let's just talk about it.
Okay.
So Virginia Tech wins the game 63-82. Honored Tony Lawal, the Italian who's come over and slam dunks everywhere. No, Toby Lawal. He had his parents in town. It was fantastic. Also, I love to see Neo Abdallas had his. It looked like his brother and his girlfriend and some other members of his family were up from Greece, which was really, really cool. But Ed, first reactions, first thoughts of this game. Just kind of tell me how you read it.
Well, I was sitting with Paul Patera, and Wake came out and made their first 4 threes, 4 for 4 right off the rip, right in front of us. And we were just like, well, this kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
My first reaction, during the game, or first thought and thing I noticed was how aggressive Neo was to look for his own shot.
Yes.
He came out firing early, and that's how you have to be. Like, if you catch the ball and hesitate or think about it, you're not going to make as many shots. But he was just catching it in rhythm and shooting it just like you would in practice. And as a result, had an awesome game. 17 points, 7 assists, 0 turnovers. 7 assists, 0 turnovers. It was a Neo Abdallas game, and that's kind of what Coach Young said afterwards. It was really cool. Obviously, shout out to Cliff Cranwell for those seats, because we got to see just kind of things you wouldn't pick up on TV, which was Neo screaming at his brother and his brother screaming back every time he did something cool. They're just yelling at each other in Greek.
No idea what they were saying.
Yeah, no clue, but it was sick, and they're all fired up. But yeah,
wait,
Neo was fantastic.
Stop there, because I want to stay on that for a second. First of all, I do owe Paul and Andy a huge shout out. It was a ton of fun getting to see them. Let's draft awesome things that we saw from sitting where we sat. I'll go first, since you talked about Neo speaking Greek. Pat, Coach Young brings a Gatorade cup out, and he has it on the scores table. And I've always thought that they were like Tic Tacs or whatnot. He pours them into his hand. In this
M&M's?
No, in this Gatorade cup, he has flossers, like those flossing things. He has antacids, lifesavers, and I think he had like Tylenol or something else in it. But it's basically a toiletry bag in a Gatorade cup. So I'll go with that first. Ed, what do you got?
How did you know this? Did you like?
I watched him do it. It's the little antacids that come in those like those like single packages where you like pop it out, and he must have had 10 antacids during this basketball game, like over and over and over and over again.
You don't necessarily know with this level of certainty that that's what those are,
unless they're like there's some sort of my tummy or brain hurts medication, and
you're telling me that in a 20-point win, he's throwing back 10 of them.
Ed, he's throwing back whatever they are. There was Brandon Perkmeister, and there's Mike Tums Young, or whatever they are.
Braxton Perkmeister. That's Braxton Perkmeister, dude.
I would say outside of the Neo just emotion that was really cool to see, the thing that stood out to me the most was the intensity that JD Byers and Chester Frazier coached with, and being that close to it and just seeing like the intensity, there's really no other word. They're just on it the whole time, just on 100 the entire game, all the way until the very last possession. Because in a 19-point win, you want to win by 20, so they're trying to figure out what do we need to do here to get this over 20 so it looks better for the net. They're just on 100 the entire game, and I think coaching for Mike Young might be like a contact sport. There was multiple times where the Virginia Tech coaching staff would call a play or, point something out, and it would, unfold that way on the floor. We'd get a big bucket, and you just come over and just smack the crap out of these guys. Yeah, great play. Over and over again. It was pretty hilarious to watch.
Another thing that he does that I love, it's a love fest to Mike Young. Guys, if it's your first time, yes, we love Mike Young. He, when he doesn't get a call that he likes, will pick up the basketball and hold it from the referee and talk to him about it. But then when he's done talking to him about it, he makes adjustments to the team, but doesn't allow the referee to get the basketball to put it back into play. He's just, for everything that Buzz Williams was, in terms of like, if you could dedicate a camera to being on him all game and like some sickos would watch it, Mike Young's the same way in a totally different like demeanor. So speaking about the actual basketball game, number one, people have seen that Virginia Tech has moved into, in some regards, the first four out, the second four out when assuming the season was over. Ed, keep me honest here. It seems like a couple of things are at play here. Winning this game by 19 points was a huge deal. But on the flip side of that, the fact that Florida State moved from being a Q3 loss to being a Q2 loss, at least as of right now, is playing a really large part. So, Ed, if you were to just kind of summarize our bubble situation and kind of, where we stand on potentially making the tournament, where would you put that?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely on the outside looking in right now, but the season's not over. I mean, we play 3 more games. You have North Carolina in Chapel Hill this Saturday, Boston College at home, and then you close out the year, I guess, next Saturday at Virginia. Obviously, the 2 road games there are against 2 top 25 teams, and North Carolina looked great last night. They smacked Louisville without Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson will not play this Saturday unless he gets a brand new hand between now and then, but their intention is to hold him out to the Duke game. So Virginia Tech will catch that little bit of a break there when they play Carolina, but they're still Carolina. I believe it was the 24/7 reporter for UNC. I guess, I don't know. I guess this is behind paywall, but I don't really care. Put out that UNC's roster spend about, per each player, he did line items for everybody on what he had heard they spent, and they spent about $15 million. So even without Caleb Wilson, there's still plenty of talent on that roster. It'll be a huge hill to climb. As far as the bubble specifically, they have to win at least one of the Carolina and Virginia games. I think if you go 2-1, say you beat Carolina and you beat Boston College and you lose to Virginia, you got to win at least one game in the ACC tournament. But even then, Virginia Tech, they need some help with the teams in front of them not doing great things. And then anytime you're on the, this thin of margins like that from making the tournament, you worry about bid stealers in the lower level conference tournaments as well. So there's a lot of work to be done. I really wish we didn't have 3 1-point losses, including 2 Q1 1-point losses on our resume, but it's where we are. And it is pretty remarkable that even with the misfortune and the half-court shots and the, bad losses and blowing it here, what have you, Virginia Tech's still sitting at 18 wins with a chance to, make that final push, get to 20 wins, and have a really good resume, even with the misfortune.
Yeah, I think, look, you did a great podcast on this last week. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, go check out the 2 Deep episode with Ed on there, talking about just kind of Coach Young's tenure and kind of moving forward and everything else. I think at the end of the day, I'm really glad to see that this team hasn't quit. I'm really interested to see how things pan out, and we'll probably have a larger conversation around Coach Young's tenure and where we feel on, regardless if you make March Madness or not, what needs to happen at the end of the season. What I do want to ask you about, though, is the frustrating part is we're starting to see the storylines that you see in college football trickling into college basketball. Like, can you explain to me why Auburn is safely in the field and why a team like Ohio State is in the field or in that first 4 out when they don't have a Q1 win at all? It just, how much stock do you put into these brackets that come out? Or do you think that basically if you're in a conference that matters, the P2, you're going to be getting preferential treatment like they do in football?
I don't know as much about Ohio State. I will say I think it's crazy that they have 0 Q1 wins and they are, as regarded as they are. I argued back and forth with everyone's favorite beep booper, Shelton Moss, recently over text about this. And he was talking about a tweet that I put out the other night about Auburn. And of course I tweeted about Auburn and then they won the game. But Auburn has played the hardest schedule in the country, and the SEC schedule is really difficult and challenging. So that is going to inflate, all your various nets and Ken Palms and Torviks and all the different metrics that they like to throw at you that nobody really knows what any of them mean. My overall point on it becomes more when the predictive metrics like a Ken Palm or a net that are supposed to show you what the team could do or is capable of doing have not panned out. And a perfect example of that is Ohio State, right? They're 37th in the net and 36th in Ken Palm, and they have 0 Q1 wins. They're 7-10 in Q1 and 2 combined. All 7 are Q2 wins. Auburn's kind of similar. Now they have one, note that's better for them, but their overall record is like 17-13, I want to say, or 16-13, something along those lines. They're 33rd in the net. They're 7-12 in Q1 and 2, but they do have 5 Q1 wins. Like I said, that SEC schedule is hard. They've had a lot of really good opportunities. They got a good one the other night against Kentucky, where Kentucky absolutely just blew it. Shout out Mark Pope. As far as where Virginia Tech stands in those similar categories, we're 50th in the net right now, which is not bad at all. And 8-10 in Q1 and Q2, but we only have 2 of those Q1 wins, whereas Auburn has 5 of them. I don't see how Ohio State should be where they are. That, to me, is kind of crazy. I know the Big Ten schedule is good, but the ACC schedule is no joke either. So when a predictive metric like that has a team that high and they continue to just lose and lose and lose games, you kind of lose me on the predictive part of that. And I also am not sure why things like Ken Palm that are supposed to be forward looking should matter when you've played 27, 28, 29 regular season games. Because I think at this point, the results are what the results are. And who should get in the tournament should be based on what they did on the floor and not necessarily a predictive metric. Because if you're going to do that, then we should just do that in football too and not even play a regular season. So Virginia Tech's in a decent spot. They got to win at least one of these big road games to be back really in consideration. And then, however they're showing in the ACC tournament is very hit or miss on if that matters or not on a year-to-year basis. But I think if Tyler Johnson does come back and Virginia Tech goes 2-1 and then wins 2 games in the ACC tournament, all of a sudden you're looking at it and like, okay, this team finally got whole and won some nice games here. I think that we will get an edge there, but overall we got work to do. And I think if this team didn't have injury trouble, its ceiling was probably like a 7 seed, which is really unfortunate. But even still, man, they're alive and kicking with 3 to go.
Ed, would you call it plus odds that Tyler Johnson returns to the floor this season?
I don't know. I have no reason to not trust Mike Young. He doesn't seem like a deceitful person, and he keeps going up in front of the microphone and telling you more detail about the situation than most head coaches would. So I have no reason to think he's lying when he says, Tyler Johnson's practicing and Tyler Johnson's trying to play. And, it sounded like based on the post-game presser after Wake, he was, they were targeting the Wake game for him to come back. And then he felt a little something in practice the day before and decided to give it an extra week, I guess with this bye week as well. So I would say minus 110. We'll just go with the even line there. But I just have no reason to think that Mike Young's lying. Like, why would he lie? What does that do? It just makes him look bad at the end of the day.
New rule. I don't know if you guys watch any Bill Maher, but new rule. Mike Young needs to adopt the Joe Mazzulla school of thought.
If
agree. Somebody asks him a question about Tyler Johnson, he should just stare at him until the next question comes.
That's the thing.
Don't say it.
He's bringing it up because they don't ask questions about injuries in postgame. So he's going out of his way to say these things, which makes me think even more. Why is he lying? I don't think he's lying.
It is funny because in the last press conference, he put himself in the position to answer it. He was talking about Wake Forest player who was missing time, and he was like, I don't like to see any young player miss any time. And then he went, Tyler Johnson. He had to basically start talking about it.
He asked and answered his own question. Yeah. So again, I have no reason to think that he's a deceitful person. I don't think he would be putting himself in that position to say things out of turn if he didn't believe them to be true. So I think he'll play, and we'll see him for these last 3 games in the ACC tournament and wherever this thing takes us from there.
Rest of the schedule plays out as at number 14 UNC. That's a opportunity game. Boston College, must win. And then at UVA, number 18 in the country. They're playing NC State right now. They are working NC State. They're up 41-28 with 17:30 left in the second half. So Ed, do you think this team gets away with winning 2 of 3?
Carolina looked good yesterday against Louisville. I don't think we'll allow Seth Trimble to drop 30 the way Louisville did, but they did look really good yesterday, even without Caleb Wilson. And then Virginia is Virginia. I know we beat them in triple overtime, the game Pat was at, but this one's going to be at JPJ, where we did win last year, but two really bad teams last year in that game. I don't know. It's gonna be a challenge. I think if Neo Abdallas plays with the aggression and purpose that he played with against Wake Forest, I think we can beat both of them. I think Virginia Tech is in that same. When Virginia Tech is right, Virginia Tech is in that same class as a Clemson, UVA, UNC, Miami, NC State. We're kind of right in that same little talent window. I think Duke is far and away the best team in the league, but then everybody else I think can knock each other off on any given night. And you've kind of seen that unfold. We have wins over Virginia and Clemson. We have a 1-point loss to Miami, a 1-point loss to SMU. So we're right in there with those teams. It's just going to be dependent on which Virginia Tech team shows up. But I do think 2-1 is attainable. I think 3-0 would be really hard. I think 2-1 is attainable. And you do that and let the chips fall where they may in the ACC tournament. And look, if you win 20 games in the regular season, you go 9-9 in the league, and you miss the NCAA tournament, it's a huge bummer. Don't get me wrong, but it is far from underperforming at Virginia Tech relative to what Virginia Tech has decided they want to be based on their actions as a basketball program. I'm curious. I want to ask Pat this. I asked Pete and Sam the other day, and Billy and I are not lifelong Hokies. We've been, I guess, Virginia Tech fans for 10 plus years now at this point. But as a lifelong Hokie, what is your expectation for where Virginia Tech basketball should be on a year in and year out basis?
It is really nice to make the tournament once or twice every 4 years.
Okay,
it's
that's
really
about
nice
what
to make a run or win a game in the tournament once or twice a decade.
That's exactly what Pete and Sam said. That's good. I mean, and if that's the alignment that the fan base feels, I would hope that the athletic department would try to mirror that.
Yeah. On that point, couple of things. I think the most frustrating thing is, and it's almost like trying to predict before football season, right? Like 2 football seasons that finished 6-6. You had 2023 and you had 2024. Same exact record, completely different feeling at the end of the season. I think if you look at in totality Mike Young's career and you look at the highs and then you look at the lows are just so preposterously difficult to wrap your head around that it almost kind of makes you forget about the highs. I'll say this. We'll do a complete kind of summarization of Virginia Tech men's basketball when the season comes to an end. The reason that I feel optimistic is this North Carolina game and this Virginia game. A lot of people kind of chalk it up to, oh man, I saw somebody tweeted at us today, take North Carolina and the points. Virginia Tech has looked outmatched 1.5 times this entire basketball season. And it was against Louisville, which was over the minute the game basically started. And against Duke, but nobody looks good against Duke. Duke's probably the best team in the country. Played them at home. We're within that 10 or 12 points range. So to think that we're just going to lose to North Carolina or lose to Virginia and not cover when it basically comes down to, look, if Neo plays with the aggression that he played with against Wake Forest, we have been in position to win these games on a final shot every single time. Miami, that Bedford shot goes down, it's a completely different result. We've had that exact shot so many different times. The difference was he made that shot against Clemson. So Anyway, Pat, women's basketball. What are the Lady Hokies up to?
21-8. Year 2 of Coach Duffy. And that puts them at 7th in the ACC. They are 11-6. I think we got on here a few weeks ago prior to their road trip out to the Bay Area where they took 2 of 2 at Stanford, at Cal. Not easy to do that, to go out there and win one game by 10, the other game by 8. I think something like that. Yeah, they were both pretty decisive results, and then came back, lost a tough one in overtime versus Carolina at home last week. But then on Sunday, took care of business versus Georgia Tech, survived against Georgia Tech. I know it was not the prettiest game to watch, but this team is projected in the field right now. And I know Ed is fired up.
Yeah, 9 seed as of today, and Charlie Cream's bracketology at ESPN. I hate that guy's name, but
It's a tough name. It's a tough name.
Joe Lenardi on the women's side, projected to be a 9 seed right now. I think they're in. I mean, I don't see how you'd fall out with a away loss to another team that is on the fringe of being in the tournament. So I think with that Georgia Tech win the other night, I think Virginia Tech should feel really good about their place on Selection Sunday.
I'll say this. It went from Virginia Tech has had a really good last couple of weeks. They would have had a amazing last couple of weeks if they just won that North Carolina game, which they were by far and away the best. I don't want to say far and away, but they were the better team for 40 minutes.
That was just like the men's games where all of a sudden they stopped making shots under 2 minutes.
Correct. That would have been, in my opinion, Coach Duffy's like first signature win to happen at home. But again, teams played well enough to put themselves in a position to be off the bubble, looking out at everybody else who won't make the tournament. So just got to keep winning, finish strong, barring something crazy, they'll be in the tournament. We'll run through Diamond Sports here really quickly. Shout out to softball. Took 2 over number 14 South Carolina since the last time we potted. They also swept the University of Georgia at Georgia, which is huge. Love to see that.
Wait, you want to hear something funny about that? This was another thing. This is something Shelton texted me today. And he goes, since you complain about analytics, do you want to complain about human polls as well? And in the D1 softball top 25 this week, guess who is 1 spot ahead of Virginia Tech?
I saw this. Didn't they put a team that we beat twice?
Georgia.
Oh,
Georgia.
Yeah.
We just beat them twice, and they're next to each other in the polls, and Georgia is 1 spot ahead.
You know, I think it's more of a reflection on we see this with Heisman voting every year. We see this with the AP poll every year.
The AP poll, man.
There are too many people that vote on this that don't watch. Like, I'll be completely honest. If the Heisman Trophy people reached out to me and were like, hey, we want you to be a voter, I'm saying yes, because that would be tight. But I have no business voting on the Heisman Trophy because I'm not watching it. Like, I don't know, my life depends on it. And I don't know anybody that votes on the softball rankings, the human polls. But
I bet you watch more football than the average AP or Heisman voter.
Probably, yeah. I would imagine so. Ed, thank you for that ego stroke. I'll give it right back to you. I think that you watch more basketball than the people that are pulling some of the strings on the polls there. So, wow, that was a really nice moment between me and you, bro. That was
your blood
alcohol.
Don't try
to skip over it. That was a nice little moment.
Your blood alcohol level is probably higher than the voters when you're watching, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there.
All right, let's be mad. Speaking of blood alcohol, how about rage level? I couldn't think of a 3-letter acronym here. I gotta say this. So our baseball team 7-1. They beat JMU 5-4. They beat Rutgers 2-3 in the Rutgers series over the weekend. I just want to say, capital B bullshit, that our baseball team's games, the last 5 games, are not watchable. There are parents out there that can watch T-ball Tommy and softball Sally's 4th grade recreational baseball and softball game and stream it on like Fubo or Flow or whatever television. You're telling me that Virginia Tech can't get somebody to march out there with a flip camera and stream our games? Until I hear otherwise, I assume it is one of these 3 things, or 2 things: incompetence or laziness. There is no reason whatsoever that a Division I college baseball team should not have, at a minimum, your weekend series against Rutgers streamed. That is unfair to the kids. It is unfair to their parents. It is a brutally awful look, and I'm actually glad to see how many people are outraged by this. It is crazy to me that is the fact. Ed, I remember when women's basketball like 2 years ago played Maryland Eastern Shore, no problem finding the game. But Rutgers Virginia Tech baseball opening like series against a P4 team, sorry, can't help you. Heinous.
Yeah, I mean, you and Sam Jesse have hammered this home. I have nothing to add that you two haven't already covered, but it is pretty disappointing, especially when you have another P4 program like Rutgers in town. Like what are we doing? Get the game on television. This isn't hard. Like I said to Pete and Sam when we talked about this last week on their show, you would think we did not have a comm school that has students in it that would like to get repetitions and their ability to call games on tape. Throw some people out there with a camera. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, couldn't have said it better myself. Nailed it.
Pat, take us home with, just to recap. Women's basketball won this weekend, baseball won this weekend, softball won this weekend, men's basketball won this weekend, wrestling won this weekend. So a pretty awesome, pretty epic weekend.
That goes against the tweet from that one guy like a week ago. He was like, was this the worst Saturday in Virginia Tech sports history?
That was a crazy take, dude. We've had some awful Saturdays that involve one sport. I don't know if there's I don't know if we can if we'll ever have a worst Saturday in school history that will occur in February.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Will I get in trouble if I share my screen?
No. Go for it. As long as it's not every 2 minutes. Like when you're
rapid what's fire on the screen, Pat. It depends what's on the screen.
Yeah, that is true. Are you pulling up only Hokie? Like what are you pulling up?
No, I'm trying to show off the new Roback collection.
Oh, dude, it is nice.
It is nice.
It is nice.
Give me.
We are all in Roback right now.
I'm rocking back. Oh, Pat, you're rocking back. Ed's rocking back.
Yeah. How do I? Hang on. You guys still see me? Can you still hear me?
I can.
I have like the split view going on Chrome, and I actually can't even see.
Yeah, they just snuck that feature in. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet.
You know what? I'm clicking share on share screen, and it is not sharing.
Pat was in a fight with technology, so BRM to the rescue here. A couple of new Roback pieces. Number one we'll highlight here is the Virginia Tech Hokie State. Woo! I mean, this is pretty special. They really cooked here. Fantastic job by our friends over at Roback. And then we'll jump into this one as well. This orange, dude, little. I'll be honest. You know, I don't want to be a shill here. Little creamsicle here. It's giving a little bit Tennessee. But hey, I mean, you will stand out, and there are some other options too. You got the dark maroon, you got the white, you got the. Is this
my
dark
favorites
maroon?
are the neutrals? The white, the black, the gray. The black one's just
the black one's great. That sold
black
out.
ones.
So turn on your email notifications, but 20% off using code SOSVT over at the Roback store.
I gotta tell you, I kind of like the screen share through the Roback collection. I feel like we never do that.
Well, we could add it as a as an item. We all right. So you had a segment planned out for us, Pat. What do we have
before we
here?
get to that, I am now going to try to do a screen share of a text I just got. Breaking Hokie imagery news.
Dude, is it Tyler Johnson on the court?
No, it's from Paul Patera, and it is me, BRM, and Paul.
Wait, did he label it?
He did.
You know he did. It's so good.
Dude.
This is the three of us. And next to BRM, you got Adam and Don Boydnott during the Toby Lawal dunk at the end of the game.
That honestly is epic. I wish we were a little bit more. Ed, have you ever sat so erect?
I think I was getting ready to jump up with joy for the flush from the wall.
Your posture is unbelievable. I also got to tell you what's unbelievable is Paul's friend Andy, all of our friends, Andy's hair is just unbelievable. It's almost like, I got to tell you, Andy is like my spirit animal if I never left California. I'd have been like to 97 Grateful Dead concerts. He was rocking. I think he was rocking the jeans and flop look, which is a total California move. Anyway, Pat, you had a couple very interesting segments here. I'm excited for him. I think Ed's gonna hear them live, so let's see how we'll react.
All right, we'll do these segments and then we'll finish with football because we do have some football updates as well, but we're speaking out of turn again.
Damn.
So Sons of Saturday recruiting was on a heater the last month here. We did both drop the knee, perform
kneel,
the old
dude.
QB kneel,
Yep.
if you will, and no audibles were called. We were very confident in these play calls, Billy Ray. Added some 5-star talent to the Finn and Mitchell rosters.
Roster? Ain't no roster. Ain't no roster, cuz. No roster, dude. That is so funny.
That's not how I meant to say that.
Oh, dude, that was so funny. I'm sorry. That was so funny.
2 former Hokies are joining this 2026 Sons of Saturday recruiting class, and we are fired up. I don't think either of them will be joining the podcast for an interview. So we're just going to roll into the segment here. Best or worst memory, Virginia Tech football, a game that you have watched while at a wedding. This could be an incredible moment that everyone's celebrating together. This could be a devastating moment and a moment that you might even be happy that you were not in person for. But Ed, can we start with you? What was the either highest of high or lowest of low for you at a wedding while watching the Hokies?
Man, I'm not sure I have like a good one for Virginia Tech because I haven't been a season ticket holder long enough to have run into this problem where I've had to miss a home game for a wedding.
Dude, get your attendance up.
Usually I'm able to plan around it accordingly, but I have been at a wedding on rivalry week and had to, along with another group of gentlemen, sneak off to the bathroom to watch some Iron Bowl on our phones. So I hope we don't run into that situation with Virginia Tech anytime soon where I am conflicted between wedding or football game, but I know you guys have had some more heart-wrenching situations you've run into in the past and in the future.
My only one is the Miami game in 2024. I was at a wedding for that game. It was in the middle of a hurricane in Greenville, North Carolina, South Carolina, sorry. There was no power at the venue. It was all operating off of generators. It was wild. But I did watch that game on the phone next to a Miami fan. Allegedly, he was a Miami fan. Maybe he was just for the day. But anyway, that was my answer.
I think what I can remember, honestly, being not at the game, watching on my phone, Tech beat ODU in 2024, and we were fired up.
Was it not you who had a wedding on the 2018 ODU game?
It was, and I was getting to that. That was a tough break for the gang. That was Richmond wedding. Seconds before J-Lit got up and had to give a best man toast, it turns out that, you get the ESPN notification or everyone's watching on their phone that Tech has lost to Old Dominion for the first time. Unfortunately, not the last time. That was a tough break for a lot of us that night. But thankfully, J-Lit got up there and absolutely slayed the dragon of the best man speech and uplifted all of the spirits at the Hokie wedding. Shout out to the Dailies. It was a wonderful day out in Goochland.
Goochland.
Let's see. This next segment, honestly, I don't even know if we should run it. I think a little bit more thought needs to be put into it, unless, Billy Ray, you have a snap creativity twitch here.
Yeah. Hit me. What is it?
I don't think this segment rocks. I think we should throw it out and try to go back to the drawing board on it. It's Mary F. Kill for 3 wins over the past few years. It was a stupid idea, and we're gonna throw one out.
All right. I would love
Right.
to hear some people in the comments put games that you would marry, F, or kill. We won't even give you the games. You can
Well,
just
I
throw that in
think
the comments.
the point of the thing is to give you 3 games. So if I
Oh, I
said
know.
like,
I'm
hey,
just trying to bail out. Well, I wasn't going to dance on it, but you said the idea was bad. I was trying to come away with something from the idea. Like I was like, hey, how can we save it? And it's like, maybe we can get some comments. Who knows?
this is the off season. This is how we do it here in the off season. Ed, your hoops commentary is always welcome and always appreciated and always insightful. You are a true ball knower.
Beat North Carolina, beat Boston College, beat UVA. Like and subscribe. If you had a good time, check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram. We do appreciate it. And if you have any segment ideas or deep dives that you'd like to hear, we did just do a town rewatchable situation, Robert Irby and myself. If you have any other bits or things that you would like to hear, please do let us know. Without further ado, have a fantastic rest of your February if you're listening, or let's make March the best month so far of the year. Peace!